Yeah, look, I think the PNC's finished, and it gave us a good opportunity to have a look at a lot of players, and to trial some things that we wanted to do moving forward for Rugby World Cup. And I think in parts of our games in the PNC, that we saw that. And again, it's just the standards that we've set at the beginning of our campaign. We just got to keep raising those and making sure that we stick to them. So we'll make sure we'll get that into our training, not just on the field, but obviously off the field as well, with our leadership and individual players. Making sure that they're preparing themselves the best that they possibly can. For the New Zealand divisional game, and then obviously Australia before we go to Rugby World Cup.
So are there any field changes for your team to meet the roles in this international?
Yeah, look, we've got the New Zealand divisional 15 first, and there'll be some changes. We've had some discussions with the players already around our Rugby World Cup team, and that'll hopefully be announced within the next couple of weeks. We're just making sure that our injuries are covered, and we identify the right players. There'll be some disappointments, but it's an exciting time for us, and it's part and parcel of what the PNC was all about. It was making sure that we select the right 31 players to go to Rugby World Cup. And then obviously it's about building combinations now. Once we play New Zealand Divisional 15. Those combinations need to be together as well when we go into the Australian test. It's pretty important building up for our first game against Russia.
Can you tell us what are some of the challenges and the weaknesses that you have noticed in the previous in BNC that we'll be looking forward to building up in the next 2 months?
I don't think there's too many weaknesses or challenges. It's just about making sure that the decisions that we make on field, we're giving the players the right opportunities to be able to make those decisions. I was extremely happy with the way that we played against Fiji, and we've had some references back from referees to say there was a couple of tries that should have been awarded, but unfortunately without TMO footage that wasn't available to us. But again, I think we dominated for a long period of time, and I think you would have seen a change towards the way our conditioning and our players being able to play that game for 80 minutes. So we'll continue on that. We've got a plan in place around to make sure that we're getting that. When we need to train hard, we're training hard and finding that balance about freshening our players up for those games. I suppose challenges. One, we don't know what the New Zealand Divisional 15 will bring. And two, playing against Australia is going to give us the benchmark that we need moving into Rugby World Cup. And so although it's, there are some challenges, but they're exciting. There'll be some new players coming into camp in the next few days, and again that's exciting in itself as well. So as a management group, again, there's all these things that go on logistically, and how we're going to get all our gear and everything to Rugby World Cup. So there's a lot that goes on and behind the scenes, and so Samoa and Rugby Union have done a fantastic job in supporting what we wanted to do, and so we're really appreciative of that. But again, like I said, we're pretty excited about the opportunity that's in front of us. Yeah, look, we play New Zealand Divisional 15 first. Australia's our last game before we go. Preparations are going well. We had a meeting the other day around our squad members and selections, and through the PNC they've made it pretty tough for us to make some decisions, and there'll be some players that are disappointed. But that's part and parcel of our job as a coaching group, and making sure that we've selected the right 31 players to go to Rugby World Cup. Preparations are going well. Preparation started a long time ago, and now it's just about our game and the way that we want to play. Looking especially at Russia and the teams that are in our pool. Again, because once we get to Rugby World Cup, every game is going to be a final. There's no, what could have been, or there's an opportunity for players. We're treating every game as if it's our final. Because if you lose, then you're behind the 8 ball. So. We're preparing for all 4 teams in our pool, and hopefully you'll see some of the things that we're trying that'll be a reflection on the teams that we're playing at Rugby World Cup.
Can you talk a little bit about using the Pacific Nations Cup to prepare for the Rugby World Cup and aiming for a team that gives performances and gives results versus actually trying to run out and run a goal?
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea, and I made it absolutely clear when we first started, before we started the Pacific Nations Cup, that everybody in our squad would get a run. It was about an opportunity for them to play and put their hand up for selection for Rugby World Cup. And some players did that. Some players, unfortunately, probably didn't get as much game time as they would like. But we had faith in the depth of our squad to go out there and perform and win games. And there's some few things within our games that we probably should have done and nailed, and we could have come away with 3 wins. But it wasn't to be. And but again, wins are always important because they build confidence. But also, we had to have a balance to make sure that if we have injuries at Rugby World Cup, we've got a squad that's had a taste of international rugby and the depth obviously there.
So I think you might have started to say, are there any non-Pacific Nations players who will be joining you for the World Cup?
Yeah, there will be.
Do you know who they are?
Yes, I do. No. No, look, obviously there's, and I made it clear there were some players that were left out of Pacific Nations Cup as well, purely just because we wanted to have a look at other players in certain positions, and there was opportunities for them to put their hands up. And look, there's a few that will be joining us for the New Zealand divisional game. And again, hopefully, as I said, sooner than later that we'll be able to announce our Rugby World Cup squad. We've got a couple of injuries within the group as well at the moment. One of them, Pure has broken his arm, and we don't know the full extent of that until probably lunchtime today. So there's some guys on standby already. And again, we think that the guys that we're bringing in, are the best for us to be able to go and do well at Rugby World Cup.
I understand that the last time Manu Samoa at the Wallabies was a tremendous game. So are we going to expect another tremendous game, or you're going to take Manu Samoa to the next level?
Hopefully, we can build nicely towards the Wallabies game. Obviously, you've seen the last game the Wallabies played, they've gone up another level, so I think we'll be facing the same Wallabies team that was played with the Manu Samoa in 2011. So again, as coaches already touched on it, we have that New Zealand provincial game first that we will play, and then hopefully prepare well for the Wallabies.
And the time you spent in Fiji was actually some of the longest time you've spent together as a team in total. Can you and the players, if you don't mind, reflect on what that experience was like, spending so much time together?
I suppose our time together in Fiji have really consolidated the team as a ahinga, as a family, because that is what Manu Samoa is based on, moving towards the Rugby World Cup. As long as we come together as one family, and I think our time in Fiji has really served that purpose as well. Apart from playing rugby, it really served the purpose of the closeness of not only the management but the players as well. So it was good.
Unity that we're building with the team. Obviously, the boys that are management getting along. Obviously, talk about everyone at the same level, so I have old guys, young guys, so make sure we're all at the same level. So don't be scared to each other, to ask questions. So I think that's moving forward. The World Cup as well.
Just to elaborate, can you elaborate more on the issue?
Yeah, look, I got off the job about 8 weeks ago with the Southern Kings, and I know there was a little bit in the media, and they obviously had a contract on the table, and I think it might have been, it was the game before the USA, I think it was put out in the papers. And just for clarity, I said to our playing group that I'd turn the job down. I don't know what's going to happen for me after Rugby World Cup, and they wanted me to be involved after Rugby World Cup, but my heart and soul's with Samoa at the moment. I love to be part of this this union for a wee time, but obviously results as a head coach, that speaks for itself. But we'll see what happens after Rugby World Cup. But as far as the Southern Kings, that opportunity was there, but not right for myself and my family at the moment.
Can you talk a little bit about why yesterday's trip was so important, and maybe also how it feels to be leaving Samoa again?
Yeah, well, I think it's extremely important, just to give something back to the community, and obviously for our players it was quite a touching day for them, an emotional day for them. But again, any motivation that we need, they only just need to look at some of the places they visited yesterday. Again, it's also again just trying to unite our nation, and that's what we want to try and do, not only just through performance but also what we do off the field as well. It was huge for us yesterday, just to make sure that we do everything right by the public here in Samoa, and it's going to be tough because we know the hard work that goes in behind the scenes is to make sure that we get to Rugby World Cup. Again, we've players and friends and family, and it was also important for them to come back to Samoa and go and see their families. And again, we head back to Auckland today, and we go into camp on Sunday, and then we're right the way through. So, it's just a nice way to say thank you.
Just to add on to what Vaeluagaomatagi was talking about, I think not only that, but to any young kid that plays rugby, and to see their idols coming in, the heroes of the Manu Samoa boys coming in, and most of them are like, oh, I'm going to be a Manu Samoa in the future. It gives them encouragement, to carry out schoolwork. Of course, we want to get on with school really well, but there's also another opportunity in school, and to see the boys doing really well in sports, and be motivation for them as well.
See those kids smile on their faces, obviously that was huge. There was a few of us great emotional yesterday, so including myself. It's quite sad to see that at Samoa. Obviously, being there, and it was a blessing for us to be there. So we're grateful for the time that we spent in yesterday. Obviously, being support, the volunteers there.
Well, they've pretty much touched on all of it. It is always important to get back to the community, and obviously to the roots, and as Bati's already touched on, it was quite touching for some of the players. A couple of our players have actually gone back today to see a couple of the places they visited yesterday, and had donations given. So that just goes to show how much the community means, and obviously we'll be carrying some of the support and that with us along the way. So
for the first time, Manu Samoa has introduced another coaching position in our mental strength coach, Master Lenny. I just wonder from the players, how has that helped in your development, and also from the coaching point of view?
I think Lenny's been good for the team. Obviously, past years we been to coach that we really need, especially off the field. Really discipline ourselves. That transferred to the game. That few times when you get angry in the games, obviously you need that calm and clear head for obviously making decisions in the game, and obviously that Lenny's been helping me out a bit. So really happy what Pastor Lenny is going to do for the team.
I think when I met Lenny in December last year, he had big decisions to make, and I think, what he brings is his leadership, and I think the big thing for me was his calming voice. He's been doing work with players individually and ourselves as a group, and again, it's a massive part of our game. The physical part, we take for granted, but the mental part of the game is where there needs to be a lot of work to make sure that we're making those right decisions on field and also off field. A lot of our players carry a lot, and it's he's good just for a release for some of our players to sit down and offload and talk to. So look, he's been great, and he'll continue that through to the Australian game. And so now we've been really happy and blessed to have him on board. He's done a fantastic job as all of our management.
What are you expecting kind of different to Pacific Nations Cup from your upcoming camp? Are there going to be some particular kind of social or other changes?
Next week the players will continue their conditioning. So we'll be going into the New Zealand Divisional 15 with heavy workload. So our conditioning group coaches have said that they'll be physically demanding in the next 2 weeks, and then it'll be a downloading week moving into Australia. So our players can probably expect, and they don't know that yet, but can expect that there's going to be a heavy workload, knowing what our end goal is once we get to Rugby World Cup, and being able to download a little bit while we're there and just make adjustments to our game. Obviously we're going to have some different people joining us as well and getting them up to speed in the way that we want to play the game, so that's going to be a key as well. But it's just more or less the next few weeks is finalising our game for each of the 4 games that we're going to play, because once we get to Japan we've got short turnarounds. We don't have much time to do lengthy trainings, and it's about I suppose the good thing about the PNC is we're together for so long. How do we stimulate and motivate our players just to keep them fresh and making sure that we're doing the right things? And I think we found a good balance through the PNC, and it's about continuing that balance and working with our leadership group to find what's working and continue on the good stuff that's happened. And again, there'll be a pretty big focus just on ourselves.
And do you have any strategies for adjusting to that massive travel that you'll have to do and moving around in Japan as well?
Yeah, look, there's always, when you're on an airplane, and there's lots of things that you can do in terms of, the recovery, socks and things like that, etc. I think the beauty about what we're doing is we land in Japan 5 days camp in Iwaki, where, it'll be, again, we'll load there as well, but it's an opportunity for us to make sure that we acclimatise and get used to Japan, because it is different, and then also the culture is going to be different for some of our players. So we're going to be there a few days earlier than most teams, especially prepping for our game against Russia. So there'll be things that our strength and conditioning coaches and our medical staff will make sure that we're doing. Obviously getting good sleep is going to be a priority, to make sure that the body's recovering as much as it possibly can and adapting to the environment that we're going to be playing in.
Going into Japan, the tattoos, have you guys decided on how to come up with the tattoos?
Yeah, look, we've had some. We had Aidan Clark from the Pacific Players Association, and then Shogo, who's the cultural Japanese consultant, who came into camp and told us around all those sorts of things around the understanding what the tattoos and what we have to do there. So we're well aware of all of that. We're well aware of the things that we need to be looking out for, but what sort of a country it is as well. So that was great for our players to understand. We spent a couple of hours just downloading and understanding what the culture and what we can expect when we get to Japan for those that hadn't been there.
Just in terms of, you were talking about the PNC, you said you're going to use the PNC as trial. So how far are you from getting that success, you know, Rugby World Cup? Like, you probably say in the scale of 1 to 10.
And where we're heading in our game, I think we're right up there. Obviously, again, we've given players an opportunity, and some that won't make it. We've got other players coming in, but they need to adapt to what we've been doing. I think we've set some standards, in terms of internally with our group, that's been going really well at the moment. And again, we won't know until probably the Australian game, exactly where we were at. Because again, we're going to start building combinations. PNC, we changed the teams quite a bit, but through this period, it's going to be about building combinations for that first game against Russia, which is going to be extremely important as well.
Earlier you seemed like quite chill, I guess, about turning down the South Africa opportunity. How are you feeling about not knowing what's next after the Rugby World Cup? And is it a conversation you want to have with yourself?
Oh, look, as I said, Samoan Rugby Union been really extremely supportive with what we've been doing for Rugby World Cup, and again, look, you got to believe in yourself as a coach, and I do, and I've got to make the right decisions based on what I think is best for myself and my family. But as I said to the playing group, I don't know what's going to happen after Rugby World Cup. Samoan Rugby Union were aware a few weeks ago that I've been approached by the Southern Kings, and look, what'll be will be. I've just got to do the best job I possibly can for Rugby World Cup and make sure that we're successful there, and then things will take care of itself. Am I taking a gamble? And well, yeah, I am, but again, that's part of what I believe in this group. I believe in, I think, where Samoa Rugby can go. So again, we'll just wait and see what happens.
Do you want to add to anything about that, about what's next, about how management might look going forward?
Yeah, I think the same goes to us as well. Exactly the same as Vaeluagaomatagi here. We'll just focus on Rugby World Cup, and obviously we want to be around for another 10 more years, but hopefully.
If I can just say one more thing, like there'll be some players that people probably expect should be in the team, but there's some players that have turned down the opportunity to represent Manu Samoa. So when there are some names, people ask questions why those players aren't there, and purely because they're unavailable. But we believe we'll have the best 31 going to Rugby World Cup. So again, there will be speculation around with some of the players that aren't there, and it's purely because they've made themselves unavailable. Pretty much for club over country, which is just a reality that we deal with at the moment. But again, as I've said to the playing group, we need a bunch of guys, a bunch of men that'll go out there and want to play for the jersey, and that are hungry, and the things that we can't coach. So, look, it is what it is, and we can't have players that want to second guess playing for the jersey. We want guys that are hungry and want to be there, and I think that's what you'll get with the squad.
How many?
There was a few, I can tell you, but again, there were some, that wanted to be, but there's pressures all over the place, and there's a few that won't be there, and then it's just based purely on the decision that they've made themselves unavailable.
Are any of them from the leadership group?
No.
So can I ask you two then, what's that pressure like for you, knowing that?
Yeah, obviously it's quite sad that our players even have to be put in that position where they have to choose club over country. But again, for some of those players, they have to look after their families, and they've chosen to do that. But for others as well, it's a matter of if you want, how much you really want to play for Samoa and how much you really want to play in the jersey. So I guess you'll see the guys that will get selected are the ones who are fortunate enough, and the ones who do want to be here for Samoa and play for Samoa. So guess we'll wait and see who the 31 are, and then we'll go. I guess that will be our best team.